for another episode of the Bald Brad Show, where we cover all the major news that you need to know about. And not just the major stuff, but also the fun stuff, the weird, the odd, and just calling out the shenanigans of politicians and just the casual Joe type of gab that you love having with a friend. Well, this is the place for that. Before we jump into anything, always got to do self-promotion here because we don't have any producers, we don't have any advertisers or anything of the sort. Head over to baldbrad.com. baldbrad.com. We have our own website made by yours truly. We do have a book, believe it or not. Yes, it's called Trojan Horse: How the Left is Destroying America, folks. It is a timely book. It came out a year or two ago, but people are still buying it up like it's hotcakes, and they're enjoying it because it is a book that is never going to change in terms of the directionality of how the left is going to destroy this country with their ideology. That's disguised as progress, and it's slipped through our defenses, and now they're in the interior of the country, and look what they've been doing to this great nation of ours. We also have a store. Believe it or not, we rarely actually plug the store. We got a lot of merchandise. I should be wearing my own, but I do. But we have our mugs here that I'm sipping out of every single morning. We got drinkware, we got apparel, we have all that fun stuff. So head over to baldbrad.com. And most importantly, if you want to make a donation, the donation's up there at the top. You can make a difference in my life in terms of the hobby that we run here. You get the show for free. But if you would like to donate, don't feel like you have to, but would like you to. You can do one time, weekly, monthly. A lot of people do the monthly donation. We get 97 cents of every dollar. 97% of your money is going to go directly into the Bald Brad account. Whereas if you do it over at YouTube, they take 30% of your money. So if you give me $100, I'm only getting 70. That's not only, but you get what I mean by that. They take 30, which I personally think that's a little outrageous, but you know, it's their platform. They do what they want, and we got to like bend the knee, I suppose. Even when it comes to speech, we can't use certain speech on here and the platform. Alrighty. Well, let's get into a little bit of Zoram news here. New GOP bills would withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities. I am all for this. I am tired of our government allowing illegal behavior to happen. Now, that could go up to the federal level. That could be a state level. That could be a local level. I'm not a big fan of breaking the law. As we used to say for us millennials in high school, it's like, oh, you're a straight edge. You're a square. That's just what they used to say. I guess a straight edge is, it's somebody that doesn't like to bend the rules. They don't do drugs or alcohol or things like that. I don't do drugs. I'll have a glass of whiskey maybe once a month. I'll have a cigar maybe once every 2 months, maybe 3 months. Jeez. Well, Republican Senator Rick Scott is set to introduce legislation that would spell major financial losses for sanctuary cities and states. The Florida senator introduced the bill dubbed the Unifying American Security Interest Act to explicitly tie eligibility for federal grants to cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement. In order to secure the federal funds, cities would need to honor ICE detainers, conduct joint training with immigration officers, and commit to openly sharing information with federal authorities. All for it. All for it. Now, this part does lead me to have a little bit of worry because sharing information with federal authorities, what do you mean by that? I'm not even so much of a fan having my information to the state level, let alone the federal level. Now, let's be fair. They have our information. We got to file taxes every April 15th, folks. So, we can't go too far into the weeds on this one, into the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories of how they're going to get our information, and they're going to revolt against us and all these things. Look, we've been filing taxes forever. If you're not filing your taxes, make sure you do so. You got a month to get them in. Along with the aforementioned bill, Scott introduced the Sanctuary Jurisdiction Event Security Enhancement Act. These names are getting longer and longer, which bars sanctuary cities and states from receiving federal funding for event security for the Department of Homeland Security, which is obviously something that has been a hot debated issue most recently with funding. Democrat politicians are putting illegal aliens first and the American people last. Correct. And they've been doing so for a very, very long time. And I think there might be maybe a sporadic one or two Republicans in the mix that are doing this, but mostly it's an entire party. The party that's allegedly for civil rights, the party that's allegedly for the little guy. You know what I mean? But when it comes to Americans, oh no, sir. No, they won't even wear the American flag on their little what is that called? A lapel? What is that little part of your little suit jacket that you got there? Now it'll be everybody else's flag, the Mexican flag, the Ukrainian flag, the trans flag, the gay flag. I don't know. Every flag other than the American flag, they seem to want to wear. Or when they get pushback, like, all right, well, I guess I'll put the two flags right next to each other. You know how they do the like the Ukrainian flag and then the American flag right next to each other on the little pin? It's like, give me a break. Wear one flag. Okay, I'm so tired of this dual allegiance crap. So I'm fully in support of figuring this out because I'm tired of it. I really am. President Trump is doing his part by securing the border. Now Congress must pass my bill to hold sanctuary cities and states accountable by withholding federal tax dollars until they cooperate with federal law enforcement. All for it. All for it. Nobody over there in Kansas should be dealing with the shenanigans of what we're doing over here in my state of California and the lack of, brain cells from my politicians over here, causing you a lot of problems, folks. I get it. And you know what? I don't want to cut all the funding. I don't care. I don't rely on the government. I will never want to rely on the government. Screw those guys. I don't care if it's federal or state. You don't need to be sending us money over here, especially with these dweebs bragging, we have the fourth largest economy in the world. We have the fourth largest GDP. Gavin Newsom is amazing. Okay, fine. So what you guys should be saying is, so what you're telling me is you don't need any federal tax dollars. If you want to brag about how big your economy is and everything comes through our ports, fine. You don't need our money. Okay, you're good. That's why, and I would agree with you. As a dude that lives here, I would agree with you. I wish you didn't send us our money or your money. I wish you didn't. You shouldn't have to. God, these people here cause so many problems for everybody else too. You know what I mean? And we all know those types of people. You work with them sometimes, just cause problems. That could be, what's the cliche thing? Gossip around the office, talking about people all the time behind their backs and spreading rumors, like all that stuff. It's just, it's not a good thing. Nobody should be doing that. What's another thing? Just the negative people all the time. You know what I mean? Just, it kind of gives you a headache, there's all sorts of things that happen in the workplace. I think that we all been through it in one time or another in our lives. Well, Iran tried to drive a wedge between Israel, Muslim world. It may be doing the exact opposite. Things might be backfiring. The war with Iran is putting the Abraham Accords to the test, but experts say the conflict could ultimately pave the way for a new normalization agreement. Oh, here we go. Mizzy says, if the economy is so great, why is there a huge deficit? Bingo! Because they don't know how to manage money. To be fair, the economy is good here. It's just we're spending money, left and right. So it is true, we do have a good economy here. But if, you could be making, I'll give you an example. Remember, take it all to the individual level. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You could be making six figures. You could be making you could be a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and still be in a deficit, still running on a bunch of debt, which is very common. It used to be every 8 in 10 Americans, regardless of income level, were living paycheck to paycheck and were in debt or something like that. I think now it's every 6 in 10 or something. This stuff always changes, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. Regardless of income level, a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. So, and because you have that type of culture, that type of thinking, that goes to the state and then federal level. I mean, Jasmine Crockett was just complaining yesterday that she still hasn't paid off her student loans. I guess she has a law degree. I was blown away to find out that she has a law degree. I mean, really talk about lowering the bar, and no pun intended. They're talking about doing the same thing to the CPA exam, by the way, lowering the bar so people can pass it. The U.S. brokered normalization agreements between Israel and several Arab states face strained during Israel's recent war with Hamas, triggering widespread anger across the Arab world and putting governments such as the United Arab Emirates and, the other ones under pressure to distance themselves from Israel. But Iran's expanding campaign of missile and drone attacks on its neighbors has shifted the strategic picture. Meaning, I was kind of surprised by this too. I was hearing some stuff happening in these other Arab countries. I was like, bro, these people are going crazy. They're starting to attack their friends now too. That's the one thing I immediately thought of. I was like, oh man, this could really end up going in our favor here. Maybe having some peace in the Middle East. So the existing Abraham Accord members are already seeing the practical benefits of that cooperation as they work to defend themselves from Iranian attacks on both civilians and military sites within their countries. Oh, so now you guys wake up and go, oh wow, yeah, these guys kind of are a little two-faced. They claim to be our friend. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, these... Hold on a second. Maybe we shouldn't have been dealing with them. Maybe the Americans aren't the bad guys maybe we thought they were. Huh. Nurboms, the director of Tel Aviv University Workshop on Israel and the Middle East, said the conflict has effectively become a real-world stress test for the Abraham Accords. The Iranian strategy was to cause damage, economic damage, damage to even civilian infrastructure in order to increase the pressure by the regional countries to work against Israel and work against the United States. Oh, that backfired. That backfired. And I'm glad it did. I would love to have the Middle East just kind of be back to where it was. I mean, you look back, you're going a long time, but the development that they used to have in the sciences and mathematics was crazy. I mean, you look at algebra. Algebra came out of the Middle East. So, they used to be a booming area in terms of knowledge and wealth and wisdom. It's sad to see what's happened to it. I just want people to get along. That's all I care about. Stop being knuckleheads. Leave people alone. Do the best you can in your life to better yourself. And doing so for yourself will be doing so for your country. And life goes on. And at the end of the day, we're all 6 feet in the ground. Welcome to life. There's it's an opinion piece. I'll get back to that later. I want to get to my X page. If you're not following me on Twitter, make sure you do so. Follow me on Twitter. I do repost articles that I find interesting. And usually what I find interesting, well, my audience finds interesting as well. So we have here more footage, and I believe this is from Cam Higbee. Yes, it is from Cam Higbee. That is showing the California ballot initiative petitions are being signed by mobs of homeless drug addicts who are being paid. We saw this yesterday. I believe this is a new clip, and I'm imagining this is in LA.
I came across another individual petitioning for signatures. He insisted he wasn't paying anybody, but it would turn out he's not being entirely honest.
Are you guys doing petition signatures for cigarettes?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Do you know where that is? Oh, okay. Is it voter registration?
No.
No? What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
Just petitions, but not for cigarettes. They just doing it for free.
Oh, really? Okay. What are the petitions?
Look how dirty that street is, huh? You see over here the homeless, just trash everywhere. They don't do gutter cleans. Look at this. Let me put this up here.
What are the petitions?
I don't even know what it's about.
This person conveniently...
Have I not mentioned this time and time again? This is what LA looks like. Look at all of this. Look at all of this. Brag about the 4th largest economy in the world. Sure, bud. Yeah, well, the GDP is great. We're really good. Gavin Newsom's doing awesome. Karen Bass, LA mayor, is really killing it. She's out here for Americans. Yeah, look at all the homeless, right? When was the last time this was even touched? Do you know? Down here. Look at up here. More homeless behind me. Yeah, no, really doing a great job over there. Just trash everywhere. People running around in the middle of the street.
suggests that he doesn't even know what the petitions are for and that he's not paying people to sign them. They're just doing it for free. But that can't be true because I caught this exact same individual the very next day in the exact same spot with a group of petitioners paying people to sign these same ballot initiatives.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you one. What's that for? They're gonna pay you? How much? But what's that for?
That there is another California ballot initiative petition. Getting enough signatures on this petition will put a law directly on the ballot and into the hands of the people to vote for. It completely bypasses both the governor and the legislature. Signing it effectively acts as a vote to put the law on the ballot. Here we are in the exact same group of petitioners. You have one of them accepting a clipboard with a signed petition.
Okay.
No way. Is he going to do this on
And that would be a cash transfer in exchange for a signature on a ballot initiative petition, which is illegal in California state.
I cannot believe that guy just did that on camera. Wow. it amazes me that we're always told this stuff's not happening. It's not real. Nothing to see here, folks. Look away. Look up at the sky. There's UFOs somewhere. Unbelievable. It's not even just dirty politics at this point. It's a broken gig economy exploiting a massive legislative loophole. Why is the fundamental democratic process running on a paper honor system that a basic fintech app would instantly flag as fraud? There's truth to that, but there's also a lot of stuff to go along with the technology of things, with people being hacked and stuff like that. Highest poverty rate in the nation, highest gas taxes in the nation, highest state income tax in the nation, record homeless in California. Yep. And if you think this guy has no chance at being your president in about 3 years, you got another thing coming to you. I think, and I hope I'm wrong. Oh, I pray that I'm wrong. I think you are looking at the next president of the United States. Absolutely. I hate to say it. That's how things work, man. It's always the dweebs of the Democrat Party, the most idiotic ones, the ones that just suck the most, always get elevated. He's going to be running, and he's going to win. If he doesn't win the office of the presidency, he is definitely the nomination of the Democrat Party, because I don't see who else would be a better pick than him, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of dum-dums out there, but you need a dum-dum that's able to talk really well, and he's one of them. Remember, allegedly, he can't read, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. You know, he says a lot of crazy things, in my opinion, and he's very slimy. Very, very slimy. Alrighty, we're going to get to this really quickly. It's called The Bridge to Nowhere, and I thought I reposted the article. I did a video on it. If I don't have the article here, then I am going to pull up the article. Bridge to Nowhere. Now, there's this bridge that we have in, I think it's LA. CA Post. I think it's LA. And it's cost us $114 million. Check this out. I did a video on TikTok, well, all social media platforms yesterday. So California's unfinished wildlife bridge to nowhere tops $100 million. It doesn't top $100 million, surpass that. And here's what it looks like. I'll give you a video in a moment. This is a real photo. For those on audio, you're seeing a 4-lane highway on both sides. So there's 4 lanes going north, what seems to be 4 lanes going south or east-west. I don't know which one. And then there's just a bridge, a cement bridge. Doesn't connect anywhere. It's tough to explain. And then there's, almost like, I don't want to say an exhibit, but you know when you go to the zoo and they put like where the rhinos go, or the elephants have it's a sanctuary. They have their own little sanctuary. It's just a bridge, but the bridge doesn't connect to anything. It's just hovering over the interstate, the highway there. So in 2022, if you're not aware of this, I was aware of this when it first started. I was like, give me a break. This is silly. Governor Gavin Newsom broke ground on the Wallace-Annenberg Wildlife Crossing. It was a project featuring an overpass for animals atop 10 lanes of the 101 freeway in Southern California. The purpose of it is to allow wildlife to cross over the freeway rather than crossing the actual freeway, maybe getting hit by a car. For those that are animal lovers, I get it. So am I. Little steep, okay, for a bridge for animals to cross. It's, by the way, the 101 runs miles. The fact that they're just going to find this narrow pathway to cross over the bridge in this one specific area, I don't know. You let me know if this is worth the price. At the ceremony, Newsom boasted that the state had committed $54 million. He promised to complete the job within another $10 million. Oh, so we're talking $64 million. Okay. Before seeming to hedge on whether the final sum would do the trick, officials projected a 2025 completion date for the overpass. Nope. No, not even done yet. And estimated the entire project, which included a bridge and other developments, would cost $92 million, some of it coming from private philanthropists. Hey, you want to get money from a bunch of people that want to do good? I like that. I think that's how a lot of things should be functioning, is people want to give back and build up their communities. If everybody picked up one piece of trash, then you wouldn't have trash on the ground. If people would stop being a-holes and throwing their trash out the window, then you wouldn't have any trash on the side of the highway. This is what happens when you have a failing social structure and no unifying factor of a culture in said area. For example, United States, said California, because people, they don't look out for other people. It's just about me, and they'll just throw their trash out the window or spend other people's money and all that other stuff. Nearly 4 years after the ceremony, the bridge is past due, and the project some $21 million over budget. So we have a bridge to nowhere, and we also have a train to nowhere, and that train's going to cost us $128 billion. This is $21 million over budget. The train, I think, is $128 billion with a B. What was supposed to be the world's largest wildlife crossing has become a jobs program for environmentalists, with taxpayers on the hook for what this leader, Beth Pratt, told us is an overpass, quote, for everything from monarch butterflies to mountain lions. That tells you everything you need to know. If you have drywall near you, just go ahead and put your head right through that, folks. This is what somebody that's spending your money, she is the leader of this thing. Those psych wards, and people are out there, and they did this with Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio. He shows up to this psych ward area institution, and there's the guy that's raking leaves, but there's no leaves. Or there's a person that's brooming the grass. There's nothing to be broomed. Or they're wiping down windows, but they're just wiping down the air. This is like what you expect one of those people to say if you walked up to them and said, good morning. Well, for everything from butterflies to mountain lions is going to cross the highway. Dead giveaway, dude. Dead giveaway that this project was a failure from the get-go. Yeah, there you go, Miss Mom. Yeah, it's just a slap to the forehead on the butterfly stuff. Anyway, so I got video of it here for you. This is what it looks like. I gotta mute it. This is a drone footage, a 360 of this. This is it. This is it. In 2026, this is what we got. Folks, it's cement and rebar. Cement and rebar and dirt. That costs over $100 million to pour concrete? Now, this is why I mentioned a lot of these people and the labor unions and all that other stuff. These public labor unions are not for the taxpayer. They're not for citizens, folks. If they want to have that argument, well, who's going to do it? It doesn't get done then. It doesn't get done. And you know what? I hate to say it, but people start figuring out themselves. You want an example? Potholes not being filled. Too expensive. Can't do it. The labor's too expensive. So you know what people go and do? They go fill it their themselves. Yeah, it turns out before all this stuff happened, we used to do a lot of stuff. Yeah. So some unions, not all of them, some public sector unions are not for the taxpayer. So got that there. The other thing that's going on, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but there's more news on it. We have the LA Teachers Union threatens massive April strike as tensions boil. I think this is going to happen. I think if they were going to come to an agreement, they would have already come to it already. So in a bold move that could shake Southern California, leaders of the Los Angeles Teachers and Service Workers unions announced Wednesday that they will strike on April 14th, the day before tax day, which is interesting. If contract talks with the Los Angeles Unified School District do not improve, I don't think they're going to improve. And by the way, the odd thing to me, and this is something I want to call out, is people go, well, you're asking for a 17% increase in pay, but the reading rates of these students are lower. I hate to say it, man, that ain't the teacher's fault. My question would be, well, what are you guys doing at home to let your kid be like 3 grade levels below? Now, there is a level of not the teacher's fault. It would be the system's fault, specifically the school administration and those that are higher than that, by allowing your kid to move on to the next grade level without even passing the previous one. And that keeps happening, and you have a snowball effect to where They're 3-4 grade levels behind in reading and math. You need to hold kids back. And by the way, the parent is the number one educator, not the teacher. The teacher sees them for like 45 minutes a day. You go ahead and teach somebody something for 45 minutes, and not just something, 40 other people at the same exact time that all live different learning deficiencies, have all different ways of learning, come from different cultures, have all different spans, have all missing gaps of knowledge. Some don't know certain words, some don't know certain math, and it just extrapolates from there. So just think about one small missing gap in knowledge that one person has, times it immediately by 40, and they're all different. And then you go into something else 20 minutes later. Now you got to multiply by that by 2 or 3. How are you going to solve that? How are you going to solve that, big boy? Yeah, you don't think about those, huh? But it's a teacher's fault. Yeah, it's a teacher's fault. Maybe if you spent more time with your kid and not had them on the iPad and doing all these things on social media and playing the video games and all this other stuff, maybe did some parenting, you'd realize that your kid is 8 levels behind. It is the parents. That is your number one job, is to educate and raise your kid, not the teacher. The teacher is not their dad. It's not their mom. It's none of that. I show them how to do something. If they want to do it, great. If they don't want to do it, that's their life. It sounds bad, and that comes from like, oh, you're cold-hearted, you don't care. No, teachers care too much, which is why they're getting tired, which is why they care more about the kid's education than the actual kid and parent does. And I haven't seen it just once. I haven't seen it just twice. I see it. It's the vast majority. Don't get me going about it. There's a reason why I left the education system. I got a lot to say. It could result in a shutdown of the nation's second largest school system. I think New York is the largest school system, I believe. So they'll be walking out. This is a little cringe, though. Ready to strike for wages above poverty for our families. I don't think that's true. Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a misleading statement, because I mean, people even in poverty here in the United States have like televisions and cell phones. I mean, if you want to look at poverty, go look around the world, because it's bad. It is really bad. Poverty level around the world. Like our homeless people, have like multi-room tents and stuff like that. So let's see what we got here in the chat before we move on to our next things, because it looks like the United States is shifting strategy over there in Iran. No Child Left Behind screwed the school system, fleeing Bush. Yes, but, and that's a mistake that even I made at one point. We moved away from No Child Left Behind. Obama changed it. So Obama came in and it's called something else now. It's not No Child Left Behind. I do agree that Bush kind of kickstarted the movement, but Obama changed it. And I'm not putting all the blame on Obama, but Bush definitely started it. But it's not called No Child Left Behind. I forgot what the name of it is, but look into Obama changing it and you'll get more information on it, but it's still terrible. Bush definitely deserves some blame in that. But anywho, at the end of the day, here's the sad thing is, all you're going to do, and the bar's so low to, I suppose, succeed in this country, because people are just passing high school without passing high school. I mean, they barely could tie their shoes. Is you're just going to have a bigger gap of those that are on the upper echelon and lower echelon. The thing with the upper echelon is it doesn't take much to get there anymore. So you can outcompete everybody in your generation for jobs and work and stuff like that, because the bar is so low that if you just have half a brain cell, you're going to outcompete everybody else. That's what I used to tell my students. I hate to say it, but I was like, my goal for you as my students is that you can outcompete everybody else in your generation. And the bar is set so low, because I'd go over stats with them and studies with them that's out. Like, hey, this is why they're not hiring your generation. I'm not doing this to beat your generation up. I'm doing it so that you, my students, can see the characteristics that employers are looking for, so that you can inculcate those characteristics in yourself and outcompete everybody around you, so that you're going to be okay in life. Now, guess who should be doing that? Anybody want to take a guess at who should be doing that? Yeah, I could do it on my free time when I'm, I went through a lesson kind of quick. They got it. They understood it very easily. Great. The parents. The parents should be showing them that. Now, does the kid want to listen? I don't know. That's a different story. Alrighty, well, enough about that. U.S. shifts strategy here. Trump issues new threat against Iran as reports say new supreme leader is misfunctioning. What the heck does that mean? Let's take a little peeky here. Let's see if it wants to load. Sometimes it goes to a little bit of a what do you call that? Ads. I feel like just ads are everywhere nowadays. I was watching a streaming service last night, and it was like every 10 minutes there was like 3 minutes of ads. Remember when streaming service used to be free of ads? Like, oh, you bought into the streaming service and it was gonna be ad free. So now we're back to just cable again, basically. That was the buy-in. was, oh wow, I don't have to watch ads anymore and I could just like binge watch stuff. Yeah, that's going away again. Do you think cable will ever come back where we're all tired of all these different streaming services?
Fox News senior strategic analyst General Jack Keane, as well as General, I want you to comment on all of this. These last top three leaders seem to be a linchpin to me. I want your thoughts on that. I want your thoughts on these 5,000 pound bombs they dropped. And can you explain NATO's weakness, Western Europeans' weakness? Because I can't.
Well, let's start with where we are in Iran, certainly. And for our audience to recall, what the United States is focusing on is taking away Iran's defensive and offensive weapons that they have to attack us. We've stripped them of their defensive weapons with Israel within 36 hours. We've been systematically taking all of their offensive capability, to include nuclear, away from them through these last 2 weeks plus. And we're doing that in conjunction with the Israelis. And the progress has been steady, accurate, and the execution has been nothing less than superb. We are on target here, and pretty much...
You could see like the flash of the laser hitting it to like right where it's going to land. That's kind of cool. I've been wondering what that was. I'm like, I keep seeing these like little flashes. It looks like it's the lasers hitting it so that the I'm assuming the guided missile is able to hit it dead on the spot. And I heard those are within like inches of hitting, you know, perfectly. So the U.S. and its regional allies have deployed 64 Apache helicopters. Those things are nasty, man. The Apaches are badass. If you haven't seen Apache footage, those things can hover really high, really far, and their machine guns, and I don't know if there's, I would imagine there's other things associated to it, but it's like the lens of their helmet is connected to, I believe, their retina, and they can actually manage the machine gun with its pilot with its eyeball. So, and those things, like, they'll wipe you out. You don't even know they're around. They're so far away that, you know, these guys, and you know, it's sad because I mentioned that they have like a low IQ, and you know, they don't have much of an education system in some of these areas. They do. I'm not limiting some of these countries, but you know, some of these people are still doing like agriculture. They haven't, you know, really gotten an education and stuff like that. And then they get, you know, kind of recruited into these terrorist organizations. And so when they see something out off there in the distance, they're probably not thinking, oh, this thing can, they probably think they're untouchable, but they're not aware of the technology that's out there. That's just like, these guys could pick you off with a pistol from like, you know, a mile away with their eyes closed. I'm being silly, but you know what I mean. So there's 64 Apache helicopters in a mission to take down Iran's fleet of one-way attack drones, the Pentagon announced Thursday. Oh man, that's a lot of firepower. Joint Chiefs Chairman made the announcement during a press conference alongside War Secretary Pete Hegseth. The pair said U.S. forces have begun using stand-in style weapons as opposed to the long-range standoff weapons seen earlier in the operation. Hegseth said this is a sign of the progress the U.S. is making in the conflict, though he declined to place a timeline on the operation. Yeah, you know, I get that in terms of, you know, the Iranians are listening. It could be one of those things, let's just wait it out till they're done, and then we'll just kind of, prop our whole regime stuff back up, and we'll kind of get things going once they're done, since we know a timeline. I get that idea. I don't like even revealing that we're deploying 64 Apache helicopters. Truthfully, I get that we're the taxpayer. We should be involved in all this stuff. I don't know how much I want to hear from Hegseth in terms of the strategy and the things they're doing. Sometimes I think they reveal too much. And the same thing goes with Trump. Sometimes I think that he does reveal too much, and I don't like that. Especially, I don't know why there's this huge, like, dropping your balls for the public when we're releasing this new, like, stealth bomber, or, oh, we got this new stealth thing over here. Look at this shiny new toy that we're going to unveil to everybody. Why? I never understood that. So that China and everybody else could see, and there's that argument that, well, China already has our technology. They have access to this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. If they already know about it, you might as well release it. I still don't think so. I don't like people knowing the type of tech that we have. I would rather let them find out. Yeah. Usually an average Joe guy, turns out, you know, you're like a, you know, Swiss Army knife with all these gadgets, and they had no idea. That's what I like. Okay, let's see what else we have here in the news. Let's find something kind of interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we got this here, casino crisis. You know, this has to do with Las Vegas.
Amazon offers.
Whoa. We don't need this. I don't need Amazon. Okay. Vegas is struggling big time. I was there maybe 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. And man, it was dead. And it had been a long time since I had been there. It'd been like maybe a year or two. And even a year or two it was dead. You walk down the strip, folks. I think I probably walked half of it. And this was, midday. And I think maybe 3 people passed by me. It might have been 2. Yeah. Nobody's there. Rooms are empty. Nobody's buying anything. It's expensive. And Las Vegas poker rooms fold as casino tourism plummets to record lows. Resorts World confirms March 30th closures as Strip's January gaming revenue drops 11% year over year, man. That's a hit. That's a hit. It's just not like what it used to be. I mean, you remember how all the commercials used to be really geared towards family and getting people out for some cheap entertainment, but the cheap entertainment came with the caveat that you're going to spend some time at the tables. You know what I mean? Daddy's going to go downstairs and drop some hundies while the family's up there eating some chicken nuggets, watching a movie in the cheap hotel room. Daddy's out there going to the strip clubs. You remember? I remember as a kid, you'd walk down the street and you had those, usually they were Mexicans out there handing those cards. And, as a little kid, I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. I'm getting free cards. Like I thought they were baseball cards at first. And so I was going around. They wouldn't hand them to the kids because you're not allowed to. But they're all over the sidewalk back then. You all remember this, just cards all over the sidewalk late at night. And so I would bend down, holding my dad's hand or my mom's hand, bend down and pick one up. And then I'd look at it, it's a chick with her boobies and stuff like that. I was like, whoa, they're like, put that down. The glory days of Vegas. Well, tourism has been taking a hit in Sin City, and now comes news of another poker room closure on the Las Vegas Strip. A Resorts World representative confirmed to Fox News Digital that its poker rooms will be discontinued on March 30th. Yikes. So in about a couple weeks here. However, we'll be introducing new gaming opportunities to replace the poker rooms. Well, what's with is the buy-in too expensive? I know that was a thing for me. I'm a cheapo. I want the $2 buy-in. I like the $5 tables. The issue is you can't find them anymore. To get a $5 table, you got to go to like Old Town Vegas. You got to go to the old strip, like what's that called? Fremont. That's where you got to get some of the cheap stuff. And even then, that's like old school Vegas, right? That's off strip Vegas. That's dirty Vegas. If you haven't been to Fremont, I think it's Fremont or Fairmont. The nightlife there is a little bit interesting. Let me tell you, if you love the people watch, that's the place for you, because that is some weirdos, boy. And it, by the way, feels very evil, very slimy. Sin City is a great name for that. Outside of that, you got to go pretty far off strip to get those $5 tables that I enjoy. The representative did not elaborate on what new gaming offerings would take the room's place. It currently features No Limit Texas Hold'em, Pot Limit Omaha, and Mixed Games. The closure will leave just 8 poker rooms open. Was that true? 8 poker rooms on the Las Vegas Strip. The entire strip, there's only 8 poker rooms. Wow. Robbie Starbuck, a conservative activist and the host of the Robbie Starbuck Show, previously told Fox News Digital that in-person gambling is becoming less popular. Yeah, I mean, get the online stuff. So he says, quote, now nearly everyone under 40 who bets seems to do it online. Yeah, I agree with him. Absolutely. Especially there was a big movement early on until some of the streaming platforms stopped allowing this to happen, which was gambling, like streaming gambling. It was a thing. People love it. People love online gambling. And I think now that this new generation of young people, I'm young too, but I still grew up going to LAN centers, right? We couldn't have built gaming PCs like I have here, or streaming PCs. It was too expensive when I was a kid. So you go to those internet cafes, you know what I mean? You game with all the boys. So you have that community aspect of still going out, right? I remember I started clubbing at 18. I would go to Hollywood Boulevard down there. They had this club called Level 3 back then. And as long as you're 18, you can get in. There's an 18 side and there's a 21 and older side. So I used to go out all the time. People might be shocked by that because I'm still an introvert, but I would still go out when I was young. I did all that fun stuff. And anywho, people just love that access. And now these kids are growing up online. They don't want to go out to maybe Vegas. They don't really find that fun. They want to be on the game and sitting in a room and doing it that way. I still think Vegas is fun. I still think it's a great vibe. When I was there, the shows are still going. It's dirty. It's sad to see it kind of getting dilapidated. but it's also ridiculously expensive. You have to make it cheaper for people to get in, and you got to offer them a lot of perks, and they got a lot of work to do down there, and the casinos are going to have to work together to try to get people back. And I hate to say it, but competing with one another can come later. Right now, they got to work and unify to get that up and running, or else you ain't going to have a Las Vegas, man. It is bad, you guys, what's going on down there. And I kind of feel bad because there's a lot of service workers there. But that's also the issue, right? The service workers want more money, but the issue is that when it costs more money, that gets passed on to all of us. So if you're spending all that money on rooms and food, you used to get a buffet for like 10, 15 bucks. Y'all remember that? I remember when the Rio was known to be like the best buffet in town. Now they're going to run you the best buffet like $100, 50, $100. It's silly. So it's like, okay, well, you could have given me a $20 meal and I could have spent that 80 or more, by the way, on gambling, which I probably would have done. But now that it's cost me $100, I may put a couple bucks in gambling, maybe. I don't know one person under 40 who goes to Vegas regularly to bet or play slots. That's true. This trend will continue with younger people because honestly, our minds are wired different. This guy's like me and Robbie are on sync here. Their minds are wired differently. This is exactly what I was just going. Mind you, I have not read this. We just stumbled upon this. Somebody said I was clubbing at 15. You weirdo. Angel was clubbing at 15. Jeez, you dog. Las Vegas Strip gaming revenue fell 11% year over year with $840 million in January 2025, $747 million in January 2026. So yeah, that's it's pretty rough. Nevada's non-redistricted gaming licenses reported a total gambling win of roughly $1.35 billion in January. So, but by the way, this looks packed. When I was in Vegas, man, you know what was packed? I will give it this. Fremont was packed. I will say that when I walked into the, I think it was either the Golden Nugget or was one later down the street. That was packed. That casino was actually packed. So I guess it's where you go to. I broke even. I let the lady play some slots she's never played before, and I was like, "Yeah, if you lose $100, you lose $100. Like that's what we came here with. Just have fun. It's just $100." And immediately, I would say within like 50 minutes, lost $50. So we immediately cashed out. I think lost like 45. I think we cashed out 55. I took the ticket, walked over to the roulette table, and won the money back. That's how I do. I'm a winner. Winning, as Trump would always say. So I broke even. We got the money. We got the goods. Does Vegas still do free rooms? I don't know. I would imagine if like you're spending enough, they're making enough money off you, they'd still offer free rooms. $50 a night for free rooms for nothing. And the rooms are grungy too. What was really sad was when I walked into the Luxor, which honestly, surprisingly, I'd never been into. But the reason I went to is they had the Titanic exhibit there. If you've never been to the Titanic exhibit, dude, you got to go. They have legit stuff from the actual Titanic that they uplifted. They have a huge piece of the ship, like the outer part of the ship, and it's giant that they lifted out of the ocean. So you can see the porthole. It's amazing. And you're like, dude, I am literally a foot from the Titanic right now. They got plates and dinnerware. They have full mock-ups what the rooms look like. You can walk down the hall. It's pretty cool. I think it's worth the money. But anyways, that's a Luxor. And man, that place has gone downhill. It's the ghetto. The ghetto. It's sad. It actually sad. It didn't make me happy to see that. I was like, man, this does not... Because, we all were younger when we went there. You kind of remember it a certain way, and it's just not what it used to be with all the entertainment, the families down there, and the roller coasters don't work no more. That's sad. It's very, very sad. So a lot of people right now are talking about that undercover Skid Row reveals alleged election. Just kind of give you some eyes of what I'm seeing here in terms of what's trending or what's seen today in today's news. The Cam Higbee stuff, a little bit of a mixture with the Nick Shirley stuff as well, just uncovering. I mean, that's the new revolution as the not just the investigative journalism. That's always been, I think, a hot thing, which is why I'm surprised that the mainstream media still hasn't caught on to that people really have an appetite for investigative journalism, like uncovering this stuff. And I don't know if they're bought off. I don't know if they don't find it, the reward from it. But independent journalists like Cam Higbee, Nick Shirley, James Klug, Savannah Hernandez, like these greats. I mean, I think these people going out and putting, and sometimes their lives on the line, like this is, and I mean that in all seriousness, these people are crazy out there, and they have, not the journalists, the people around them that they're interviewing or doing these things. I got a lot of respect for these people for going out there, like what Cam Higby's doing, these others. But I think that's the new wave, is because they're not bought off by some corporation. Sometimes they might be. Maybe they're getting donations from somebody that wants them to cover something. You know, maybe somebody will give them, hey, here's $500. Can you go down there and see if you can find any like voter ID stuff? Yeah, I'll go do it for $500. Why not? You know, I get that. That's a dono. That's a donation. People go and move if you give them enough money for it, if it's worth their time. Alrighty. So anyways, I don't know if I could show this, but let's see what's going on here. Oh boy. Okay. So there's a man threatens white people with hammers on Chicago Red Line train. This is so reminiscent of when me and my dad took the Blue Line to LA. And I told him never again, because I used to complain to him that we would get people like this, and I'll play the video in a moment, that would not have hammers, but a guy, you know, people would start screaming and acting crazy. And this was like 15, 20 years ago. And finally, there was a moment where a guy tried to kill another guy. And when he was done with that, he's like, yeah, you know what? I think we'll just drive to the Staples Center from now on. And I didn't mind. I was old enough to drive. I was like, dude, I will drive. You just sit in the passenger seat. It's not a big deal to me. And I think he realized at that moment that, because I'd been complaining about it for a while, I hated taking these train systems to LA. Now, this is Chicago. Basically the same thing.
I ain't lied about shit I seen, bitch. I just got robbed by dyke white bitches. Every black bitch and nigga that kiss ass to the white folks, I'm gonna kill them for real. I'm gonna kill your bitch ass for real right now. The problem on the red line, we finna solve this shit. Mississippi nigga and fish kill ass the white folks, I'm finna get rid of this shit for real. A white bitch still on the machine, we get plenty better. I'm finna kill that shit too. And I just got out of Stateville Penitentiary 2 days ago. I'm finna kill for real.
The issue with this is this guy's way too close. Because if you look back, how quickly he slapped that window, that could be your face, and you're fucking knocked out, you're dead. Because he'll just continue to bash your face in. You cannot let a guy get that close to you. And the issue is, if you're not armed or whatever, and your wife or something's with you, you're in a real tough situation. Real tough situation, especially with the hammer. Because if you screw up, it takes one hit, man. Your face, I just burped in my, sorry. Your face is fractured, dude.
Every slave mentality finna get sad the white folks, it's finna die. I'm solving the problems of the red line hill for real. I'm solving the white problem of the red line hill. I'm solving the white problem.
So I want to go back to see how quickly he slapped that. Watch this.
Kill them for real. I'm gonna kill your bitch ass for real right now. The problem on the red line.
See that? See how quickly he did that? See how close he is? That could have been that guy's face. I mean, I don't know if this guy's white, black, or whatever. Seems like he's going after white people. But see how quick that was? You can't let somebody get within range like that of you. And that's tough, because then you stand up, right? That's only going to escalate the situation with this guy. If you notice, see how nobody's making eye contact with the individual. It's the same thing with homeless people here in LA. You can't make eye contact with these people. I always recommend, even if it's overcast, to wear sunglasses whenever you're going out. Because even if you look at the people for a split second, you mad dogging me? And they'll come up to you and start acting crazy. And we got to deal with this crap. Why doesn't anyone step in and stop these subway maniacs? There you go. Exactly. Libs of TikTok coming in hot as always. And that is correct. So some of you, I was reading the chat mentioning, oh, you know, they'll meet like the bullet or whatever. You know, you remember, this is Chicago. So let's say that this guy's just holding hammers, and you put a couple in him because you don't know what he's going to do. Nothing happens to him. Let's say you delete him. Obviously, you know, he's gone, but you go to jail for the rest of your life. It's the same thing in California. The laws here are crazy. So if a guy turns a specific direction and you shoot him, even though in your opinion it's self-defense, if he's like a certain angle, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. You lost your life. Your life is done. I mean, you might as well have been deleted, because now you got to go to prison for the rest of your life, even though you're trying to protect you, your kids, and your family in the state of California. Even though that person could have fired some rounds at you, if they're in the process of leaving, from my understanding, you go bye-bye. You go to prison. Not all CA is bad. Even LA has some nice areas. That is true. It's true. It's true. I mean, but that's like everywhere. You know, everywhere has some nice areas. Okay, let's see what else we have here. We got some time to cover some other fun stuff. I want to stumble on another, like one of those articles we did the other day. You know what I mean? You know, what's your guys' opinion on this Joe Kent stuff? So breaking, it was just revealed by Fox News that Joe Kent has been under investigation by the FBI since before his departure. Let me know your opinions on this guy. This was breaking, I believe, yesterday morning. That he resigned, and he talked to Charlie Kirk before his death in June, and Charlie Kirk said, "Hey Ken, do everything in your power to make sure Donald Trump doesn't get in war with Iran," and stuff like that.
Sources are saying that Joe Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterror Center, this is from Semaphore, he just resigned. He's now under FBI investigation for allegedly leaking classified information, and the investigation predates his departure. Sources are
interesting. There's a lot of stuff on this Joe Kent guy. Matter of fact, let me see. Let me see if we get some news up here. Find something a little trustworthy. No, I'm not going to click on CNN. You can calm down. We have this here from CBS News. The FBI is investigating former National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent in connection with alleged leaks of classified information. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the matter tell CBS News the probe began before Kent resigned this week over the Trump administration's handling of the war with Iran. The FBI's criminal division is handling the probe, which has been underway for some time, one source said. The FBI declined to comment. Kent did not immediately respond to a request for comment. I wonder if they're kind of releasing that he has been on an investigation before he resigned, because I saw headlines and kind of news implying that these investigations happened after he resigned, as almost bad blood, like when somebody leaves a workplace kind of under bad situation or whatever, trying to just make them look bad. The volume's kind of low. Oh, okay, sorry about that, Neil. Thanks for letting me know, though. My volume's really high, so hopefully my volume's good. It might have just been the background stuff. I always have to adjust it whenever it comes to Fox News. It says the news was first reported by Semaphore. Former Deputy White House Chief of Staff Taylor, was that Budowich, alluded to the issue shortly after Kent resigned, often at the center of national security leaks, and spent all of his time working to subvert the chain of command and undermine the president. He didn't specify what information Kent was accused of leaking. Kent announced, well, why would he do that? Because then, I mean, if Kent is leaking the information and he tells you what information is being leaked, wouldn't he, in effect, be leaking information too, and then he would be screwed? It's kind of a silly thing. He didn't specify what information Kent was accused of leaking. Well, yeah, because then he would be leaking information too. Yeah, cool. That guy's in trouble for telling secrets, but let me tell you the secret that he's telling, so I get in trouble for telling secrets too. So now I'm in with Kent. Yeah, no, great reporting. No, it's sick. Why even put that in there? Kent announced he was stepping down in an open letter Tuesday that criticized the decision to launch a war against Iran when the country, quote, posed no imminent threat to our nation. That's weird, because aren't there sleeper cells here? Isn't Iran the leading sponsor of terrorism? Like, to me, that's enough to even to send a message. I don't want people doing any harm here in my country. I like it here. Now, it's sad that the Democrats want to fund terrorism. Remember, they're getting the Taliban $80 million. That's still happening from my understanding. They're still paying off the Taliban, by the way. But Joe Biden, Democrats just allow millions of people to pour across the border. No idea who they are. You don't think Iran took some sort of measure in that of going, oh, okay, sweet. We know the Chinese did. Chinese openly admitted it, by the way. The Chinese sent spies here, and what they've been doing off the coast of San Diego is they're taking our military information and giving it to the Chinese. And so we've caught a few guys down here. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Hey, well, if that's true, you got to give the guy some credit, though, for resigning if he doesn't want to believe in something. I would rather have you resign than try to subvert the president. Hey, if you're not on board, you got to get out, because you're not going to change anything. You know what I mean? Maybe you could. Maybe some people are totally for that. Like, no, you got to stay in. You got to fight the battle. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I get that of like, you want to make sure the president is doing something good. But the question is, how much influence do you really have in stopping the president from doing what they're doing? where it's sometimes you got to go, you know what? I'm not really making a difference here. Nobody really wants to listen to me. I might as well get out and go do something else where somebody wants to listen to me. I totally get that. So let's see what you guys are saying here. He used to work for Trump, John. The guy flip-flopped on a lot of his statements. Trump admin was suspicious of Kent. He was not in on what the admin was doing in Iran. The volume drops. You're fine. Okay. Question is why money influence mental illness. Oh. I read he was asked to do it quietly. Well, it looks like that didn't happen, did it? They've been and by the way, it's tough to do that quietly if it's what I think you're talking about here, to resign quietly when you're such a high level, especially anybody that resigns from the Trump administration. The media is going to pounce on that immediately. I mean, that is like the best thing they could wish for right now is like something negative to happen in the Trump administration. And as you can see, it's exactly what's happening. Resign, aka fired. Maybe it definitely could be fired. You never know with this stuff. Yeah, it could be. There could be some truth to that, Neil. Only reason is because it's like, hey, you know what? You could resign, or we're basically gonna fire you. We want you to get out of here, which is why he could be going on all these shows and networks to potentially, discredit the president and what he's doing. And that's why I think he might have released that Charlie Kirk statement to sow a little bit more division in the conservative movement, broader the Republican movement, because people like Charlie, as do I, and we really enjoy listening to Charlie and Charlie's politics and his ideology and what he believed in and all these things. And I think a lot of us got behind Charlie, including myself. I still listen to a lot of his videos, and I really miss the guy. And so the only reason to come out is like, well, Charlie was stopping the war in Iran, and I'm sure maybe he was. I'm sure maybe he was involved in a lot of this stuff, but there's kind of no reason really to throw that out there unless you're trying to really kind of make a little bit more drama, if you know what I mean. Let's see what we have here. He resigned to try and save his own, you know what, possible. Is Joe Kent a bad guy? I'm not sure. Then make them sign an ADA or something. Yeah. I don't know. ADA. I thought you meant NDA. I saw ADA. I was like, but I know what you meant. All right, well, that's today's news. Let me just go ahead and check really quick to make sure we're not missing any trends for you guys as you go into your next podcast. We usually try to end 7 a.m. sharp. March Madness is going on. It looks like that's popping off. That is trending actually big time right now. It looks like that's taken off with Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Florida, top NCAA tournament seeds for you there for those people that love sports. Let me see here. Sports is always trending. It's actually quite interesting how sports is always like the number one thing that's always going on. ESPN, March Madness. Everything is March Madness right now. That's literally what's trending at the moment. In terms of politics, let me see if there's any, what the heck? Let me see if there's any breaking things on politics top stories. I'm not seeing much. It's just March Madness stuff, folks. There's some transgender stuff, but nothing. Yeah. Anywho, alrighty, guys. Well, we'll be back here tomorrow, Friday's episode. Remember, Fridays are always a little bit more loosey-goosey. We shoot from the hip. We spend more time in the chat reading. So come prepared maybe with questions tomorrow or to chat, because I'm going to spend a little bit more time in the comment section here in the chat section. If you're watching a little bit later, please make sure you leave a comment and a like, because that really does help the algorithm push our video out to new viewers. We're really being limited and strapped by YouTube. It will not let us go above 300 views on a video. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It will not let us go above even sometimes 200. So any help in that regard would be greatly appreciated. Don't put it on yourselves. It's just if you're feeling the need to want to help somebody out, would appreciate that. Also, if you want to make a donation, head to ballbrad.com to make a dono there. A lot of you have been doing the monthly transactions. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You keep the lights on here. Things are expensive, but it is my hobby. I do this for fun. So if you don't want to, I get it. Have a blessed day. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. Read your Bible. Read your scripture. Pray to your Lord and Savior, folks. And with that being said, have a blessed day, Patriots. Take care.